Yeah, the Muppets are back! The sun is shining and the world's so beautiful! Everything is perfect. It's falling into place. I can't seem to wipe this smile off my face. I love the Muppets, dude. The Muppets are such an oddity, having been around as long as they have. Despite some hiccups getting it into production and finding its footing, the original Muppet Show, having premiered in the mid-70s, almost instantly garnered mass appeal. It didn't take long for the fuzzy little guys to permanently cement themselves in pop culture. Kermit the Frog is one of the most iconic American fictional characters out there, and many of the other Muppets aren't that far behind. The Muppets are often praised for being primarily intended for an adult audience while not excluding the kids from the fun, still retaining that zany combination of slapstick, absurdist humor, and parody through its most active years. And that's exactly why I love them.
It has Kermit in it, and I like that.
I'm not gonna act like I've personally watched every single piece of Muppets media that exists, but I love every time I manage to discover something I haven't seen from them.
Care for a cup of Wilkins coffee? No, I don't like coffee.
Ever since Muppets Most Wanted had bombed at the box office, despite how much I love that film, the Muppets have been on a downward spiral of irrelevancy, trying project after project with nothing really sticking. The last time I feel like we got an attempt at a real Muppet Show was the 2015 mockumentary series, where it tried to take the format The Office had popularized, and that they're directly parodying, I mean literally look at the title cards, and throw the Muppets into it. Okay, admittedly I didn't watch Muppets Mayhem, but I think that was also going for like a completely different thing than like the Muppets are normally known for, and I don't want to judge something I haven't seen, but yeah. I don't dislike this show. I think at points it can be very funny, but it feels just a tad too cynical for the Muppets. I think the Muppets are at their best when they have the right balance of self-deprecation and competence. It's a particularly fine line that needs to be kept, because that allows for one, the slapstick to stand out more, and two, the Muppets to retain that warmer and whimsical feeling that comes from the format. Taking these odd critters and placing them in a realistic setting, alongside humans, kind of loses its charm if the world is almost constantly beating down on them.
About rainbows. Chill out, Phil!
Part of the struggle, yes, but seeing them succeed is equally in part as to what keeps them in character and in other ways, keeps them funny. This had gotten cancelled after one season and caused a whole 5-year hiatus for the Muppets. A handful of Disney Plus attempts at reviving the Muppets later, and then they said, fuck it, let's just bring back the Muppet Show, you know, the all-time classic that rocked the 70s. It's a fine line with pitches like this, because attempts to bring back classic formulas, especially these days, often come off shallow and missing the intent of the original. It's not like the Muppets are unfamiliar with missing the mark on a beloved classic. They aren't immune to nostalgia pandering. So Seth Rogan took it upon himself to create a test pilot for a revival of The Muppet Show. As The Muppet Show is a literal production in context of the episodes, they make it very apparent during this pilot that this is just a test run and they'd be happy to make more in the instance it goes over well. And Disney actually thinks it turns a profit. All that being said, did it deliver? Are the Muppets back? Yes, it's fucking awesome! The actual pilot itself is lovely. It manages to capture what made the original Muppet Show so special in the first place. I don't think we've seen this much life in these characters since Muppets Most Wanted. Everyone feels very in line with their characters, and it's just such a delight to see. I think I could best describe it as cozy watching this pilot. It really just makes you feel good. I will say, it does play it a little safe in regards to pushing the show past what we already know it's capable of. Like, for the most part, this really is just an episode of the 70s show made in 2026, which isn't exactly a bad thing. The Muppets really are a timeless format. They've always been in the know to parody popular culture and get relevant guest stars for the times. I think I trust that this show can still modernize the Muppets while keeping them true to themselves. You don't need a complete change in format to make them entertaining as long as you recognize the change in times. And I think this special does that pretty well. Speaking of guest stars, Sabrina Carpenter does a great job here. You can tell she actually signed up to perform alongside the Muppets rather than just being there to collect a paycheck or earn some publicity. Both songs she's in are fantastic, and she allows herself to be the butt of a joke when the show calls for it.
Really? He's single?
No.
That's honestly all you can ask for with a big star like her, or anyone on the Muppets for that matter. Her singing Man-Child with the chickens as backing vocals whilst beating the shit out of these other Muppets in classic slapstick fashion puts a big stupid smile on my face. Wait, guys, I have a joke for this. Hey men, and it's the Muppets, and it's pig Muppets, pigs in space, in pigs and wigs and pigs and Muppets, Miss Piggy, and the gags with Maya Rudolph getting intimate with this other Muppet had me giggling a lot too.
This is a Muppet News Flash. Emmy Award-winning comedy icon Maya Rudolph is dead.
All of this episode's sketches and gags were incredibly fun to sit through. Gonzo's stunt naming all the Best Supporting Actress winners was silly. The Pigs and Witch sketch was fun. The aforementioned songs were awesome. Miss Piggy's overall beef with Sabrina was a really cool first showing for her character. And how can I not mention the fact that they gave Rizzo a full number? Yeah, baby, that's my boy Rizzo. We love Rizzo in this house. What? I think what absolutely stands strong with this special is how the characters bounce off one another. Not every Muppet gets some big sentimental moment to shine, but it's clear that there's a ton of new potential in the production they're willing to flesh out and show off to the audience. It feels very authentic and true to the show's original run. I was kinda worried they were just gonna sing Rainbow Connection again at the end, despite having played it at the beginning, but it ended up being a cover of Don't Stop Me Now with the whole Muppets cast singing, and while that song is equally overused in other media, it is nice to see that the Muppets just want to keep going. They don't need to slow down for sentimentality every time they just want to give it another go. That was kind of the whole point of the 2011 film anyways. And I think a lot of this boils down to the fantastic crew that worked on this show. And Seth Rogan. Seth Rogan isn't exactly the most widely respected comedian among the populace, as he got famous off of his stoner humor and stupid fucking laugh. But I gotta say, Seth Rogan has kind of been killing it in terms of adaptations as of late. Like between Invincible, The Boys, his Ninja Turtles film is honestly one of the freshest takes on the characters in decades. I think the thing is Seth Rogan actually understands how to hand things off to others when need be, and that works really well for modernizing old properties to new audiences. I say this as someone who grew up with the 2012 Ninja Turtles and loved that show. They don't tend to feel like real teenagers in most of the shows they're in. It's like how they say once you notice 90% of high schoolers in movies are way fucking older than anyone actually looks in high school, there is no going back, and it just looks wrong forever. His Ninja Turtles actually feels like it's trying to replicate what the teens of Gen Z and Gen Alpha actually act like. That makes it way more unique, and I have a feeling it resonated with the younger crowd a bit more as a result. Unfortunately, the film kind of bombed overseas, so we probably won't be seeing more from that iteration, and also, like, Paramount's like, we want to Sonicify the Ninja Turtles. I don't know what the fuck that means, but that probably means they're gonna make another live-action series. I don't fucking know. The point is, I think this is a really good example of how the Muppet Show would be taken going forward, retaining that classic element that makes it so special while finding ways to keep up with the times of modern audiences, finding today's guest stars instead of yesterday's, and creating new material for these characters. I have confidence they can find a balance that people will really jive with. There's a real possibility we could get internet influencers and YouTubers on the Muppet Show, and that is a concept I really want to see fully realized. It's the Muppet Show with our very special guest, Markiplier! Yay!
Hello, everybody.
Things are definitely looking up for the little guys. Disney's newly appointed CEO seems to be a Muppet fan and wants to bring more of them into the parks. As we all know, Disney kind of bases their entire brand off the park since it brings them in the most profit, so I think it's safe to say the Muppets have a good chance of sticking around. I really hope they find a way to bring Muppet Vision 3D back though, because that was like such a piece of history for both the Muppets and Jim Henson, and who doesn't love the idea of the Muppet Theater just existing in real life? However, there is one major problem that is preventing all of this from happening. Yes, it is this serious, and I am not playing it up just to make a point or anything. Matt Vogel is fine. He does fine. I think he's actually starting to find his footing a bit. The big issue with the public's reception to Kermit's new voice is that since Steve Whitmire was fired from the role back in 2017, the Muppets have basically done fuck all. So not only has Vogel not really had a role to develop the voice and character, every time he shows up for a public appearance or some sentimental Muppets post is made on social media, you have hordes of people saying, "Ew, Kermit sounds weird."
Hello.
Kermit the Frog here.
And I'm not gonna pretend there isn't a stark difference between Vogel and Whitmire's takes on the character. But I feel like a lot of the discourse on Kermit fundamentally misunderstands how much goes into selecting someone like Matt Vogel for the role. This should have just got Are You Super Cereal to do it.
What the fuck is that? That's my penis, bro. Why are you making fun of my penis?
Yeah, I'm sure you can cherry pick someone from a random Call of Duty voice trolling compilation on YouTube that has a Kermit impression that sounds closer to Whitmire's performance. But can they also act, puppeteer, have actual chemistry with the other Muppets performers, and sing. It's not as simple as just picking out some random in a crowd that can do a half-decent Kermit impression. The Muppets have such a particular specialty in terms of acting that has way more technique than your average voice or live action role. The puppeteering industry is teeny, and it takes a lot of specialized talent to do something like this. And Kermit is literally the main host. If those other 4 or 5 things besides the voice aren't up to snuff, he's gonna feel really fucking off. And I actually think Vogel excels at the rest of the qualifications for Kermit. He has a really good singing voice and fits right into the role of the character. Kermit feels right here. He's easily overwhelmed, yet he still cares about the others around him, and he knows when to crack a joke or put his foot down. About as good as you can get for the guy. I think Alex Timbers, the director, said it best in his interview with the LA Times, that Kermit lovingly saves others from themselves. They understand this character on a fundamental level that I don't think Vogel's slightly off-sounding voice discounts. He's fantastic here. I think most tend to forget the previous voice of Kermit, Steve Whitmire, wasn't always the voice for Kermit. It was Jim goddamn Henson before him. And comparing their 2 performances side by side show pretty stark differences. I'm serious, let me play these 3 back to back and you'll notice all 3 of them have a level of nuance betwixt their performances.
That's silly. You're not a parrot, you're a penguin. Aha! What's the matter? Aren't you wearing your parrot suit underneath?
I think perhaps we should keep it prisoners only.
Our next act is the world's most fearless daredevil / performance artist.
I would argue that Vogel isn't any more off from Henson than Whitmire was. Whitmire just accentuates Kermit's higher tones while Vogel accentuates the lower tones. This just comes off as tonal whiplash going between the two because they go in complete opposite directions from the blueprint, which is Henson's Kermit. What, are you gonna argue that Whitmire should have been the blueprint for Kermit's voice as opposed to the guy who literally made him and voiced him for nearly 40 years? Listen to Jim Henson talk. He kind of just is Kermit.
Oh, he started a long time ago. I made him about 30-some years ago. And he was originally made from an old coat of my mother's.
I don't think Steve Whitmire is the definitive voice for the character despite his contributions. Neither is Vogel, really. And I don't want to speculate on why he was removed from the role, as it's all behind the scenes shit, and the guy doesn't deserve some half-baked slander with minimal evidence towards it. This isn't even to discredit Steve Whitmire. I love Steve Whitmire's Kermit voice and performance. He did a fantastic job in the projects he was involved in. He was the Kermit voice I grew up with, even if I watched Henson's material as well. The unfortunate misconduct that led to his removal wasn't exactly fair for the guy, but this was going to happen at some point in the future where Kermit just wasn't voiced by the same guy anymore. This happens for every long-standing character. When Jim Henson passed away suddenly in the 90s, I am sure people noticed Kermit sounded different. Hell, I've heard people criticize Whitmire's performance over the years, saying he sounds too soft or doesn't have the edge that came with Henson's original take on the character. All this to say, I think people need to get their head out of their ass and take the time to actually give Matt Vogel a chance to make Kermit his own, just as Henson and Whitmire did before him. Cause I think he does far from a bad job here. A handful of strange line reads aside, I think he understands Kermit way better than 95% of people that claim some random off the street can do better. It just feels kind of pretentious coming from a bunch of people that don't really know what they're talking about. Kermit is not just a voice. He's a character, a person, an extension of the performer. Not just anybody can do that, even if most can do a more quote-unquote accurate Kermit voice. I want a project like this to get off the ground so Vogel has real material to work with. Like in the last decade, what the fuck has he had? Muppets Haunted Mansion? Muppets Now? Like, listen to yourself when you say this guy has really gotten the chance to work with the character. Like, what the fuck is this?
Those are garbage!
I think he has a lot of potential to improve Kermit beyond this, and I hope the public eventually warms up to him, because he's got the chutzpah. Now we get to the actual glaring problem in the room. Where the fuck is Walter? What did they do to him?
Is he safe? Is he okay?
Walter was a character introduced in the 2011 Muppets film. That film's plot having been about Walter being a super fan of the Muppets and a fish out of water in his own life, being the blood brother to an actual human. I'd be very surprised if you're watching a video about the Muppets and somehow haven't seen this one. It's probably the most well-known Muppets film in the modern day besides the 1979 original, so I don't know why I'm even bothering to explain this to you. Walter still showed up in various projects after this film, as he literally joined the Muppets in it, and he's weirdly missing here?
Walter quit the Muppets? We just did a whole movie where he joined the Muppets.
So, dear viewer, what really happened to Walter? Annexed from the Muppets? Possible legal misconduct? An HR scandal that would kill the Muppets? Forever? No, it's none of those stupid things I just listed. I have a theory. No, the truth. Walter Coma Theory. In the Muppets 2011, at precisely the 17-minute 20-second mark, this happens. My evidence? Well, think about it. Immediately following the scene, we see Kermit walking up to Walter, having been stunned from the shock, covered in burns and scars, clearly to the 3rd degree, or worse, the 4th. A heavenly light basks Kermit as if Walter is going into some kind of stasis. After Walter collapses, this is where he enters his coma, as when he wakes up next, all his burns and scars are gone. How could he have healed this fast? It doesn't make any sense. You want even more proof? During the Muppet Show 2026 test pilot, in the closing number, guess who gets a lyric? Miss Poogie, Fozzie's bandmate from his band The Muppets in the 2011 film. She was never even part of the Muppets. How is she here? Well, that's because this is a character that's always been a part of the Muppets, and Walter had this character imprinted on him in his coma, and as a response to the trauma, created his own success story. All of the projects that Walter has been in since the Muppets 2011 have all been part of his coma. How did the Muppets get revived for the 2026 show, you ask? Well, after Kermit heard from Jason Segel what Walter and him had journeyed there for, he vowed to revive the Muppets in Walter's honor with the assistance of longtime Jason Segel friend of the channel, Seth Rogan. This also explains why Kermit's voice sounds so weird. In the real world, Kermit suffered from throat cancer, and his voice got a little deeper. And this imprinted on Walter's coma as Constantine, a character that is also puppeteered by Matt Vogel. Vogel? Vocal? Coincidence? I think not. And think about Constantine's name for a second. Constant-ine. Whatever this Ian thing is, must be constantly happening to Walter, and has caused him great distress in his coma. And think about it, the last Muppets project Walter has appeared in was Muppets Haunted Mansion, and who does Walter play in the story? One of Constance's husbands. I think this is a pretty clear-cut case. That, dear viewer, is what happened to Walter, doomed to listen to new Muppets episodes in his coma, made in his honor and legacy forever. So now that that's all cleared up, go watch the Muppet Show now! We need this! The world is shrouded in darkness and the only beacon of light left is in your hands. Go watch it, cable or streaming, I don't give a fuck. Do it! Do it!
Then Slaughter and Hansel will be happy, then you will be happy, and Kermit's mother will be happy. And God will look down on us and smile on us, and he will say, let them have a 40 share!